Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today is our second episode in our first season of Interview with Hotelier, where we are looking to inspire, educate, and inform everyone in the hospitality sector. And today we have the great honor of having TABITHA MUCHOGU with us. She's the Sales, Marketing, and Administration Manager at Heritage Hotels. Karibu, welcome, TABITHA.
Thank you.
So to commence, tell us, who is TABITHA MUCHOGU?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I'm a Kenyan. I have worked in the hospitality industry for as long as I have worked. So basically 20 and counting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan of travel. And so I spend a lot of my free time trying to get to know my surrounding, especially the different parts of Kenya. I also love working out and I love reading. I will read anything I come across. Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, and tell us what has been your path to take you to be where you are today? I can see your title is quite elaborate. So I believe you've had a very interesting career. Could you tell us a little bit more about your career?
Yes, I have. My first job was Mara Simba Lodge. At the time, they only had the property in the Mara. Mm-hmm. And I worked there for 2 years, a very interesting experience. I was barely 19 at the time. And so I got to learn a lot of what I did. And I'm glad I worked for that kind of a product because then I got to do everything. I did a bit of accounts, I did a bit of procurement, and then I settled for reservations. And then after that, I left for Sarova Hotels, where I worked in different capacities. I was a CRO supervisor at some point. I, at some point, worked at Sarova Stanley as a reservations manager. I also worked as a CRO manager at some point. And then thereafter, I left for Heritage Hotels. And at the time, I was recruited as an assistant reservations manager, where I acted for 2 years and then eventually became actually a group reservations manager, because at the time we did not even have a group reservations manager. And I moved into leisure sales manager with Heritage Hotels as well. And then later on, I left for Oltukai Lodge. That was my first position as a sales and marketing manager. Very beautiful property in Amboseli. And I got an opportunity to now do a little more than just selling. And then I am back to Heritage Hotels as a group sales and marketing and administrations manager. So that's my journey.
Wow. It sounds like it has been an amazing journey, and congratulations on the role that you have right now. It sounds large.
Thank you.
So in this scope of work, what is your typical day like?
Well, my typical day is I'm generally an early bird, so usually I start my day early in the morning. Once I get to the office, I would start by checking on what happened last night, a typical hotelier's life. So looking at the reports, finding out how many guests stayed with us in each of our properties, who did not show up, if any, what's the forecast for the next few days. I also have to look at the reports that we get from, because we get reports from the unit, we also get reports from our sales staff. So I also need to check on the performance in terms of what the sales team has been up to. So like their sales visits, there might be queries about like their last sales visit could have issues that I need to resolve or address. Yeah, so basically a lot of, most of my morning between 6 o'clock and about 9:30, 10 o'clock is basically just reports. And then after that, if I have any meetings within or away from the office, I would, run with it. Generally, my 8 to 5 is stuck with either meetings. It's usually meetings. It could be with our clients or with our staff, but it's generally it's unpredictable. It's not. I don't have one consistent plan that I stick to, apart from early in the morning where I can actually plan for my day. Yes.
All right. All right, I guess early bird catches the worm, 6 a.m. I think most of us are on our second last dream by that time. So
oh my God.
So we've had a lot of changes in the way business has been done as a result of Corona. Have you experienced any changes yourself, and especially in the sales and marketing role over the last year or the last few years?
Are you specifically referring to the coronavirus changes or general?
I think generally, and then if there's any particular changes that resulted because of Corona.
Okay, yeah, so there's been lots of change. I mean, in the last 5 years, so much has changed. For those of us who've been in this business for long, you'll find that in the past, we rarely, our sales was very different. It was more PR. And so a lot of business came to us anyway. And we're focused on making sure that the customers are happy, that like our travel agents and tour operators have everything that they need. Today, we are going out knocking doors. We are knocking doors. We are going to all sorts of places that you'd never think you'd go looking for business. The number of tour operators in the past was smaller. It meant covering ground was easy. And so a smaller number of staff was enough to cover ground. Now, we have so many companies with more travel agents coming up, with clients going on the net to make bookings, so they'll book with about anyone. And so it means for us to be able to do that, we have to be very, very, very focused. And we also have to look for alternative ways of reaching everybody, because obviously the physical sales calls will not work in terms of the numbers. And there's only so many people you can employ in a company at any one time. I see lots of changes. If you look at the way we used to market in the past, social media, one of the ones that has become extremely useful, existed 5 years ago, but was very different. Like right now, we're looking at social media influencers. In the past, that wasn't necessarily the case. Yes, we did have referrals, but the referrals were mainly verbal. They were, someone would share your email address, your business card. But now we as hotels are reaching out to the influencers and asking them to, to visit our properties, to talk about the experience. And so, yes, I would say so much more has changed. We are more focused on things like email marketing that wasn't very big in the past. In the past, it was mainly sharing information. Now we're using it as a sales tool. And it's one of the tools that we also have to check on return on investment, the amount you're paying versus, what you're getting out of it. Yeah, so yeah, in terms of trends, I think a lot has changed, and we are definitely having to adapt. When it comes to COVID, obviously there's a lot more going on. For instance, we are marketing, we are talking a lot more about cleanliness. We're talking about safety. We're talking about what we are doing differently. This is something that's, I mean, I would say, honestly, we kept the hotels clean, but there was no need for us to actively talk about it. Now we need to assure our customers that when they come and stay in our properties, that they are safe, that we are going an extra mile to make sure that they are not in any way exposed to coronavirus or anything else for that matter. So yes, that has also changed.
So you have
in terms of the
so you have
go
to
ahead.
change. You're changing the way your brand is presenting itself, or the brand is presented, but the message that is being communicated, it has now changed. Rather than talking about facility, you're talking about cleanliness. So you're looking at positioning your brand in a different way. So even your marketing messages have had to change.
Yes, our marketing messages have had to change. So we have to talk to the clients and explain to them and most of them will ask you, what's the process like? How do I check in? Check-in times at times can be the same for many guests. And with social distancing and all that, they need that assurance that we are up to date with the protocols and we are making sure that we only have so many people within a certain area. I'd also want to say that something else that has really changed in terms of sales and marketing is the virtual reality. I mean, we from the typical setup, especially for the trade shows, most of us were stuck in airports. We're always on the move. We are constantly going, looking for business elsewhere. And right now, at the comfort of my office, at the comfort of my home, I can actually have my meetings with people in the US. I can have meetings with people in Japan. So, and it's not just limited to the trade shows. Even when it comes to enticing either travel agents and tour operators, or even our clients to come to our hotels, just taking them on a virtual show of the property has a significant role in ensuring that there's a buy-in. And that I think it's not so much to do with COVID. COVID has just made us utilize technology more. And I think even post-COVID, we're actually going to see that happening a lot more.
Okay, so technology is now going to play a big role continuously. It's not going to end once we all get the vaccine.
Yes, it's not going to come to an end. In fact, what's going to happen is that you'll find at this point in time, we were pushed in that direction. We were forced to think outside the box. We were forced to utilize resources that we already have. I know we talk about Zoom a lot, but remember we had Skype. We had Skype all this time. We had Google Talk. We've had the options, but we never used them. But I think because we were put in that place where we cannot travel, then we were forced to now think of alternative ways of doing the same jobs that we were doing. And so my thinking is, once we're used to that, you'll see a lot more people going live on Facebook. You will see a lot more virtual shows coming up. You will see most of us being more receptive to ideas of having our meetings without having to physically meet. And you'll also see more companies opening up to having their staff working from home.
Okay, so you seem to have a lot of solutions in the way the working has translated, but have you been experiencing any challenges in your role as a group sales, marketing, and administration manager?
Oh yes, like every other sales and marketing manager, I have experienced lots of challenges. I think one of the ones I would say that is extremely significant is the crisis, the COVID-19 pandemic. For a start, I would say most of us were trying to figure out, way forward. At the beginning, you get all these cancellations. You're trying to figure out how best to help both the customer and the business. And then, of course, as soon as we got into a situation whereby we knew that obviously we're going to have to cancel all the bookings. Now we're looking at not just recovery, but also changing the way we do business, changing how we do business, changing, aligning ourselves with the protocols, making sure that our properties are attractive and appealing to the customer. And one of the things I'd say besides that, and directly related to the issue of the pandemic, is market trends are constantly changing, and the ability of a sales and marketing manager to, at any one time, be in line with what's happening is, in my opinion, challenging. In that, especially when it comes to technology, it changes so fast. I don't know, you've seen what's happening on Instagram and how fast there's something new happening, and the importance of being in line.
I can barely keep up with Twitter. So
I know.
Instagram. So I understand. I personally have a challenge with the speed at which technology changes.
Yes.
I don't know whether it's an age issue or what, but yes, you're right. Technology is changing very fast.
It's changing very fast, and the unfortunate thing, because you'll find a lot of our future customers are the millennials who have been born with technology in place, with social media. They are very pro social media. So the problem is you have to keep up with them, and especially when it comes to the nature of posts, they are more visual. So you need to actually understand how to do it. So that for me is one of the challenges that I have to say is something that you have to keep up with. And then of course there can be unfair competition sometimes in the market. At times product differentiation can be an issue, because if for example, I know a place like the Mara has very many properties. Just the ability to explain to customers that your product is premium and what premium means can be very, very hard, because most of the times when guests go online, they look at a price. We have sold the destination as a price-based destination. Our biggest winning tactic is price, and that's not supposed to be the case. We should be more focused on customer experience. We should be focused on what the customer is looking for, because we have something for everybody as a destination. And so for sales and marketing manager, at least for myself, that sometimes appears as a big challenge, because you don't want to dilute your rate, you don't want to mess up with your revenues just because of one more guest. At the same time, you want them to understand why they should pay a little more and get more.
Okay, so your role now is to sell the experience, and then when you put the price tag, they've bought into the experience, so then the sales process becomes easier. And then that's, of course, you've harnessed your Instagram and all that. So, oh my goodness, it sounds like your world has become extremely complicated.
Our world has been complicated. So, it's a lot of fun, but it's also good.
Okay, so now with all these changes that have happened, are there some, what sort of KPIs does a sales and marketing manager have, or what sort of KPIs do you need to give to your team? I know there's the typical ones, but have you added any new KPIs as well?
Yes, we have, at least as far as marketing is concerned, we do have other KPIs like cost per lead. There's a cost of marketing, customer retention, because usually, as you're aware, the cost of getting a customer is a lot more than retaining the one you already have. And so understanding what the cost of retaining that customer is. For example, what we do for our repeat guests, because that is a way of acknowledging that they have been with us many times. That's something we use. When it comes to our marketing budgets, we also look at the typical ones that would be, for example, variance from budget. But then the other typical like average room rates and DRR, I'll not go in that direction because you already have those ones. But yes, we are looking to also focus on marketing. We are looking to focus more on sales in terms of acquisition of new accounts, retention of the existing ones, whether they're direct or even corporate accounts. Yes.
Okay. All right. And do you have any others? Like, has the e-commerce side of things also changed? Do you have more KPIs, or you just emphasize on the KPIs that were there previously?
No, that has changed as well, because as you look at e-commerce, one of the things that is critical for us is looking at how much direct business we are getting versus the OTAs. Because for us, obviously, there's a commission that we pay to all the OTAs, and so the focus is basically trying to make sure that the return is more in terms of the contribution we get more from direct bookings. We also look at the conversion on the website, because that also for us is critical. So conversion, depending on how much you're spending, the level of conversion that we get from our website in comparison to the number of clicks we get, or even the number of inquiries that we get from the website, because that's something that we can track.
Okay, so especially in this time where you're looking for any sort of business, being able to track your performance and with all the costs, what sort of return you're getting is a critical part of a sales and marketing manager. So what you've talked about e-commerce, you've talked about marketing, you talked about customer service, and then of course you also have all the administration that you're doing. So what sort of skills would one need to have in a position like yours, or even building up from your reservations into sales and marketing and then also administration? What are some of the key skills do you have, or should somebody have?
Okay, I'd say one, it does help to have a foundation in reservations, because when you move into sales and marketing, it helps to understand what the very foundation of that job entails. And that's something that can be acquired either by working in the department or just some level of exposure in the department. Besides that, personally, I think some of the skills that could also be influenced by personality is you need to have good analytical skills. You need to be very, very someone who can focus, and who, unfortunately, I'll say this: salespeople don't like numbers, but numbers do count. So it's good to have at least a basic understanding of numbers. You should be able to interpret reports. You should be able to question and understand trends. It does help to be a person who reads a lot, because as the trends are changing, the internet can also be a very useful resource to get information about whatever you're doing. Creativity does help, especially on the marketing side of things. And when I say creativity, I'm not necessarily saying someone should be able to come up with an artwork. I'm referring to packaging, looking at new ways of giving customer satisfaction, new products that can be attractive to the market. So the issue of replicating shouldn't be the case. So as a product, you can decide, we have a property, we can come up with a new unique product. So basically, creativity is important. The willingness to go an extra mile in terms of learning is something that would also be useful. Yes.
Great, thank you for that. So I think your career has been amazing. And what has guided you? What are some of the principles that have guided you as you move along in your career?
Thank you. That's one of the most interesting one for me. I would say one of the things that I know that has worked for me, and I think I read The Outliers by Gladwell.
Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers.
Do you agree with me? You've read the book, right?
I agree.
Yes. So for me, yes. So one of the things I say, and I strongly believe, is hard work pays off. I honestly believe that the amount of time and effort you put towards anything has a lot more to do with your success than competence. So you will find people who are very, very competent at the job, but probably maybe not willing to go the extra mile. And a lot of the times, someone else who may not be as qualified might actually end up surprising you, because they put in the time, they maybe make mistakes back and forth, but eventually become extremely good at the job. And so I strongly believe that irrespective of what role I have been given, irrespective of how less qualified I might be, I believe in committing and putting in the hard work, and consulting, because there are always many people who are willing to assist you as long as you go in and ask for help. So success for me is a function of hard work, and somehow it pays off at some point. Yes.
Excellent, because I think the Malcolm Gladwell principle was that you put in your 10,000 hours and then you succeed. But along the way, like you rightly said, if you don't know, don't be afraid to ask, but still work at it and then get that advice that you need.
Yes.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
That's excellent. So under our aspirational side of this interview, what advice would you give somebody who's aspiring to be a sales and marketing manager in the hospitality industry?
I would tell them that it is okay. I know at this point in time, especially for hospitality, we are under a lot of pressure, and maybe telling someone that you can still do it sounds like almost incredibly unbelievable. But to be honest, as long as you know this is what you want to do with your life, you just need to focus on getting certain basic qualifications that I would recommend. For example, it's good to have a foundation in tours and travel, just basically to get an understanding, and especially because the way our business is shifting, we are getting more involved in packaging. Initially, hotels just sold rooms, and so now we are doing a little more than that. But obviously, also having a hospitality background is very helpful. It is good if one can to at least also get a basic understanding of sales and marketing. It gives you a further, it exposes you more and makes you a more dependable sales and marketing manager, and it makes it easier for you to now put together the hospitality aspect with sales and marketing. You need a bit of both. But more than that, I think there's a lot of ritual in the industry where you can consult different people who are already in this business, who've already done sales and marketing. So as long as you have the basic experience, you can start small. You can either start in reservations, you could also start in marketing, you can start in sales as a sales executive, and then grow into the ranks. And I recommend that because it's a lot easier to be great when you already understand the basics, because you can manage other people on a job that you've already been qualified and worked in.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for this.